Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rafegal. Getting back to some Link to the Past Randomizer. So I posted a video of this without commentary, and this is the only text box. This is kind of my hope to get a chance to explain what was going on in that. So this is instead of like the original Zelda, they have to leave a lot of the maps the same because the sprites are a lot more complicated, or the maps are a lot more complicated. Basically everything's a lot more complicated. So instead, what they do is randomize every single treasure chest in the game. So you see there in Link's house, I got a flute. Outside of your uncle giving you the sword, everything else is randomized. As far as NPC rewards, so the kid who normally gives you the bug catching net, bombs, awesome. The bottle salesman, Zora, Sahasrara, all of those NPCs. Situations where you would normally get, let's see here, situations where you would normally receive an item, like from bosses when you kill them, normally you get a heart container. Those heart containers all get mixed in. Certain keys, such as the ones that are on top of lamps that you have to knock down with the boots, are randomized. Also the Book of Medora. So, the way that this randomizer works, it's basically all about putting together the logic puzzle and kind of a giant Zelda fetch quest of, I need this item to go do this next thing, to go open more treasure chests, to go get the next item, to do the next thing. It's basically just a constant puzzle of, well, what do I have access to now? Let me tell you, this start, it's not going to be a whole lot, but we've got a lot more treasure chests open before that. So, the escape is pretty much the same, outside of the fact that we don't have the lamp like normal to light torches, but they left the lamp in front of you, the little triangle of light, only on the light world maps. They actually edited that out on the dark world maps that you normally are in low light. But for now, we can travel through like normal. One thing, as far as the logic of this goes, they do keep all of the keys. That basically they make sure that the dungeon map and compass are in the correct dungeon, and the big key, and the keys for each dungeon are in that dungeon before they're needed. Also, items that, if you need an item in order to get to a certain treasure chest, that item cannot be in that treasure chest. So, the Armos Knights can't have the bow. The treasure chests that appear from from lighting torches can't require the fire rod or the lamp, or require the fire rod or the lamp, so they can't contain that. Stuff like that. This is apparently like version 8 of this randomizer, so they've done a lot of bug fixing, taken out a lot of potential problems, I guess. My friend Mike suggested this along with the other randomizer. I kind of didn't like it at first. It's very different than the Zelda 1 randomizer, which, I mean, it's kind of the same in some ways, but I feel like this is a little bit more of a game that's about luck and speed, which is, I mean, it's fine, it's just a little different. I have mostly been getting used to this randomizer from watching races, and I think that this is a great, like, the Zelda 1 races were okay, but the Zelda 1 races were very much okay if you happen to get lucky and find the right thing at the right time. This one is very much about knowing where the treasure chests are and planning out your logic. Yeah, there's still some luck in it, but I think it's a great game as far as the speed aspect goes, the race aspect goes. Now, obviously, I'm not a Zelda speedrunner, as has been well established. You know, there were people beating this or most of the runs for the runners, or for the races, were taking an hour and a half to 2 hours, which, yeah. I'm not going to be doing that. Most of my runs have been about 3 to 4 hours. Some of the comments I got on my earlier video were, hey, this seems like it's easier than a regular run. You have all this stuff before you even get to the first dungeon. Well, part of that is what first dungeon? One of the other things they randomize is the dungeons. Whether you get crystals or pendants, and therefore whether they're actually even required to beat the game, because you don't actually have to beat any of the pendant dungeons in this version, unless they happen to contain items that you need, which you won't find out until afterwards. So yeah, it's very much about, yes, you can end up with a very easy run. You can get, they actually adjusted that a little bit, I think, because some of the early runs, you can get like the swords and stuff out of order. And the most recent one, they actually changed it so you actually get the swords, the armor, the power gloves, and a few other items progressively. Wow, that's okay. We just got Ether and a magic cape. There's not a ton that opens up yet. Obviously, Turtle Rock. One of the other randomized things is the Misery Mire and Turtle Rock pendant requirements, so we may need the Ether pendant to open one of those. The fact that I could get that into that wall is a really big deal, because that means I don't have to come back later. So the fact that I found a bomb on the way is really important. You may have also noticed the enemies are dropping weird items for what they are. Basically, all the enemies in the normal game are grouped into several pockets. That's actually not normally a heart container, so that's a little odd that it happened to be the right item. But yeah, most enemies or all enemies in the game are normally sorted into groups for what they can drop. And that's randomized as well. So there's a chance of certain enemies dropping items that they normally wouldn't, like bombs, but during the escape. So you could do that that particular wall. I don't know if that's the primary reason they did it, but yeah. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I was hoping for big rupees or yeah, no, at this point big rupees, because I already have bombs. Okay, so we're gonna first go over here and check the Lumberjack Cave. The Lumberjack Cave has rupees on a ledge. What that means, normally that cave is only accessible if you beat Aghanim. That means we probably don't have to beat Aghanim. Now, I've had to beat Aghanim every time I've thought that, because Aghanim is also one of the ways into the dark world. But maybe not. Okay, second thing we're gonna do is go up here. Lost Woods. We're gonna pick up where the mushroom normally is, which is just some rupees, but we want rupees right now. And drop down here, and we'll get the mushroom. Awesome. That kind of gives us a little bit of direction. From everything I've heard, the basic advice is clear all the overworld items you can get access to first. So we're starting off with the Lost Woods, with Kakariko Village, and then the path that I like to take down by the ice rod to... There's 2 caves there, and as long as we have enough bombs, we should be able to do Moldorm Cave, Ice Rod Cave, all of Kakariko Village, and now we can also hit the Witch's Hut because of the mushroom. So we'll check this house first. Basically, at this point, it's all about efficient chest gathering. Quake Medallion, so we've got 2 of them now. Ideally, we might not even need them, but we'll see. Awesome, Power Glove. We are in business, as it were. Now, we can't actually do any dungeons with just the Power Glove, I don't believe. But it does give us access to some more stuff, including Death Mountain, which we actually have access to with a flute also. Like I said, a lot of this is figuring out the logic of what you have access to and being creative with it. You know, and also the stuff that you don't normally have access to. How do you use that? So, you know, if you have the hook Shatterly, you could use that for better movement. Bow, okay, now we're in luck. The bow actually gets us access to a dungeon. We just got the Titansmith and the Bombos. Okay, so we can lift all the rocks. That gives us access to the Dark World, although we don't have the Moon Pearl to really explore it. Bottle Vendor, Staff of Samaria, why not? As long as we need the Eastern Palace, I'll go and do that once I get all the items. That actually works out really well, because usually after I go out to the Ice Rod Cave, I like to go up and get the 3 chests from the back of Sahasrala's house. And actually, just so I don't forget, let's get access to the flute. Okay, we now have a duck. Woohoo. The duck, in addition to giving access to things like Misery Mire, which does not matter until much later, well, unless we happen to find like the Moon Pearl right away. But it gives access to Death Mountain, but otherwise it's pretty much just fast traveling. So, I'm gonna finish cleaning out the village. Did I do Chicken Hut? I think I did Chicken Hut. I'm having Lufia Stare Syndrome right now. It's been a long weekend. Okay. We're gonna do the last couple little pieces and... Actually... Okay, yeah, we don't have Mirror Moon Pearl, so we can't do Blacksmith or anything yet. Okay. No getting ahead of myself. Bottle. That might be worth coming back for. Can't get that till we get the boots. The heart piece for racing will be over here. Except it might be something else. When I was watching the races, they usually walk over and check to see if it's worth doing the race. But as far as I'm concerned at this point, it's early enough in the run. There aren't really bad items. And it's only a few seconds that it saves. And it's the hammer anyway. Okay. So this is kind of what people were talking about with the, oh my, you have, you know, all these items before you even get to the first dungeon. Well, let's stop and check now. So, Eastern Palace and Tower of Hera are required dungeons because they have crystals. The desert's just a blue pendant, so we may not even need to do the desert dungeon at all. And even if we do need to do, or even if we need to go into it, it may not be important right now. The blue pendant is not even, or is even less important than some of the other ones. The green pendant dungeon, even if it's not, even though you may not need the pendant itself, you might need access to because of the fact that that's what, how you get the items the hospital holds. So right now, the only item in Kakariko I didn't get, oops, was the bottle kid, or the sick kid. You need a bottle before he'll give you whatever item he was going to have. Okay. So there's 2 items inside the dam. We'll come back and get the treasure chest in a second. You see there the +5 bomb upgrade. In order to kind of reduce the amount of quote-unquote trash items, they added in all of the capacity upgrades for arrows and bombs that you'd normally get. So, just kind of a random thing to make the treasure chest slightly more exciting and slightly less full of, well, rupees and bombs and arrows. There's still a lot of rupees and bombs and arrows. I know I've gotten really lucky with this seed that there's, you know, some really useful items right away. Most of these runs I've been doing have not been this fortuitous. In watching all these races, I've also picked up some nifty strategies, like you can cross along the edges here. I don't know if this is version specific, or if a lot of these like tricks are version specific, or if they're fire rod, lantern. Right after the fire rod is a little less useful. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of those little tricks like that are version specific. This is the original 1.0 Japanese ROM that they use. Which is pretty much just because that's what a lot of speedrunners use, because it's got the best tricks. Most of the time, these runners do the basic no major glitches, which means they do allow stuff like fake flippers, which I may attempt here just for fun. I haven't actually successfully done it, so I don't really know if I'll be able to get it, but it seems interesting. You know, some bomb jumps, some clips, stuff like that. They don't allow you to do any of the weird tricks that let you do the, you know, skip entire rooms, get out of bounds, and stuff like that, so. Hook shot! Okay. Now we have, like, 10 caves on Death Mountain we have access to. We have a whole dungeon we can beat. Okay, we're gonna do Death Mountain first, and then we'll go do Sahasrara. So we're gonna warp up here. We're gonna backtrack through the first room to find the old man, so that he can give the item that he normally gives, and the checkpoint, which you have to get from him. You may also notice they cut out a lot of the text boxes. That was an attempt by the creators to make the game more race-friendly, which is really neat. I like the fact that they did that. You don't have to mash through text, and They did a few other little things like making the chest game, the shovel game, even Aghanim less randomized. So, like in the original game, Aghanim could throw energy balls that would explode on you. In this version, he can't. I hate this part. Hopefully I won't die. Okay. That does not mean I'm not that I'm not gonna die, but better odds. Okay, so we can go across here. I'm going to go way over the top and just blast things with a fire rod because I really don't want to die and have to cross all the way back over. Okay, so the first few treasure chests we're going to get are right here in what is referred to as Drop Cave. There are 2 right here, along with some hearts, which is good. By the way, if you get a full heart container, it does not refill your health. Those are the ones that are normally after a boss, and the game assumes that you're going to pick up the crystal or the pendant right afterwards, so they don't bother refilling your health when you get those ones. The exception is the heart you get from Sanctuary at the very beginning of the game normally. So it's actually kind of a neat little trick that one of the random heart piece chests, Master Sword, randomly. That's pretty good. Blue tunic, awesome. But yeah, one of the random heart containers will fully restore your health. Just 'cause. Otherwise, it's another neat thing can be that if you get 4 heart pieces, those do restore your health when you get the 4th one. So, one of the random little tricks is keeping yourself at 3/4 of a heart, or happening to be at 3/4 of a heart when you go in a dungeon can be really nice, because you can then go and refill yourself if you happen to find a 1/4 heart in one of the chests. Okay. While we are up here, we're gonna check. The island in the sky is bombs, but we will go over here. This is the spiral cave. There is, I believe, just 1 treasure chest in here, but every treasure chest matters. We don't discriminate. We cannot get to the other big pocket of chests because they're in Dark World. Okay, so we're back at the bottom of the mountain now. Actually, we can go across and do Tower of Hera quick. So I think I'm gonna do that. We can backdoor into it. And it is a required dungeon. So, this is one of those random tricks. This is actually where I got stuck on my very first run of this game. Like I said, it'll never put items in a place where you can't get to them, or it shouldn't. The logic in it's pretty solid. So, I was trying to get it, or I didn't think I could get into Tower of Hera because I didn't have a mirror. And I assumed you needed the mirror to get to Tower of Hera. Well, apparently, if you have the hammer and the hook shot, you can take the back door, circle around. While we're up here, 20 rupees. We do still need some rupees, but we have way more than we need, so I will most likely start buying potions once I can. Okay, outside of Spectacle Rock's just a heart piece. Not really worth going out of our way for right now. Okay, so we're gonna get the first chest there, we got the big key, so technically we could just go straight upstairs after we get this chest. We actually can't go downstairs yet because we don't have a little key that you would normally get in order to do that. Again, just some little weird oddities with this that make this different than the regular game. Okay. Since we have the big key, we can just go straight up. Oops. Yeah, that was totally that neat trick that I really liked, and crap. Okay. So I'm just gonna say real quick. There is one thing with the logic in this game that can really screw you up. And it's if you end up in a room like this. Because it's not built for you to be in that room. Now, one thing that makes this game, or that in the runs, they do allow you to save and quit, and it's actually, I think it's specifically for that room, or rooms like that they allow that. Because normal speedruns don't allow save and quit. You have to walk everywhere. And in this game, you can get stuck places, so they allow it, basically. I hate Death Mountain. We're gonna go talk to the old man, and he'll refill our hearts. Okay. I've also repeatedly heard the boulders on Death Mountain referred to as giant cabbage. I think they look more like broccoli balls than cabbage, or possibly cauliflower, like green cauliflower. I know that a lot of people think broccoli looks like green cauliflower, but if you think about it, it really wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. If you watched my earlier run, you know I really hate those guys. But yeah, the main thing for saving and quitting is if you don't get something like the flute or the flute and the mirror early, it can be really tedious going back in and out through dungeons. It would take a lot longer. And also, there is the potential that there are rooms that, even though you can... Basically, there are rooms you can get stuck in. They're very rare. They usually involve, like, requiring a bow and arrow, or, you know, happening to fall into a place that you're not normally supposed to be able to fall. Because normally, if you are above that room, the door would be unlocked because you needed to get the small key and go downstairs to get the big key. So, normal Zelda logic, by normal Zelda logic, you shouldn't be able to get stuck in that room. Also, you'd have the mirror, which means you could warp out. But yeah, we just had to save and quit. Not a big deal. Okay. We're not going to try being fancy on that. I don't have dash boots. That makes me sad. However, we do have the hook shot, which means we can get the big chest right now. Or we can be dumb and fall. Again, you can bypass those little holes if you're careful. But yes. Oh my gosh. This, my friends, is why I am not a speedrunner. Okay. And we do actually need to go back down. Technically I could try a bomb jump from there, but that is way outside of my comfort zone. I have done it where you could do the boots, so you can hook shot across and then use the boots to bounce off the treasure chest and come back. Also, I intentionally left the blue pegs up right there so that I can collect hearts here. Because I trust myself that much. Although I'm not actually worried about Moldworm. Normally Moldworm's really annoying, but I have some fancy new strategies from watching some of these games. Especially on the second Moldworm fight you can do this, because even in the normal game, at that point you'd have to cape. If I had her half magic, that would have worked way better. But either way, okay, we got the small key, which means we can go in the basement now. But before we do, we get a crystal. It refills our health. They took all the cutscenes out, so you don't have to watch talk to the maiden. Okay, so before we go down, I'm gonna check my... Okay, so I never found the map in here, which means that the item in the basement is the map, which means we don't actually need to go down and do that. Again, kind of a neat... That's the kind of logic that goes into this and figuring out how it works. Okay, we don't need a heart container right now. Hearts are nice if they're on the way. We'll probably get plenty. Since this is really quick when you do the, when you have the flute, I'm just gonna turn in the witch's item. Oh boy, bombs. When in doubt, throw a rock at his head. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is Eastern Palace, because we have the bow. The major item I'm looking for right now would be the Moon Pearl and the Mirror, because that opens up all of Dark World. We have most of the rest of... I think I've already got most of the rest of what I need for just beating the game, and the boots. So, eventually... Oh, nice, Tempered Sword. That's really good. Okay. Do not have silver arrows yet. Silver arrows make this a lot easier. Like, the whole game. That's one of those things that, now that I know how you actually get silver arrows in the regular Link to the Past, like their conditions, in order to get the bomb, you have to beat dungeons 5 and 6. Get the crystals for 5 and 6. I may try and do those dungeons earlier than I normally would, just so I can do that. Although those are really hard dungeons to get into in the normal game, so, yeah. Crystals 5 and 6, specifically. So, this treasure chest at the beginning of the dungeon has given me all kinds of crap. That was me going the wrong way. Random factoid. There are pots underneath that platform. They have hearts under them. So if you're low on health while you're going into this dungeon, you can stop and refill there. Okay, I'm not sure what just happened there, but... Okay. Big key, awesome. So, we've already got the map and the compass. As long as we have enough keys to get through, I'll probably just continue here instead of going right. I can always come back and double check if I don't find, or if there's items I didn't find, but I'm pretty sure got what we need to go the rest of the way through this dungeon. If we happen to be a small key short, then we'll know where to go. Okay, this is kind of a neat little trick here. There's a little switch behind that guy, but because of the way he's positioned, you can totally hit it without bumping into him. So this is the reason that you need the bow before you continue. This dungeon requires the bow, because in order to get past this door, you have to kill 3 of these guys. There's no way, other than with arrows, to kill these red enemies. I can't remember what they're called. I'm sure Mike will yell at me in the comments, so just keep a lookout if you're curious. I'm going to attempt to be cheesy because no, didn't work. Because I was curious. If you get 2 hits on the last 2 guys and they're next to each other, you can basically fire the 2 arrows and kill the 3rd one before he turns red. Moon Pearl, just like I thought. Okay, so Moon Pearl. Now we can go to the Dark World. I've already got the Titan Smith that opens up, and the hammer, which is what you need to get into like 3/4 of Dark World. And with Hookshot, the world is our oyster. You may be thinking, Lucas, where are you going? I am going to check the best cave in Dark World right away, because it's kind of on the way to where I was anyway. There's a peg right down here. Now, we still don't have the mirror, so anytime I save and quit in the Dark World, I'll end up back in the Light World, and I'll have to find another portal. Okay, let's see here. So, Turtle Rock isn't required. We have all the items to beat Turtle Rock anyway. You need the hammer to beat Palace of Darkness, Fire Rod or Bombos to beat Ice Palace. One of the medallions, Titan's Mitt, and the flute to beat Misery Mire. Thief's Hideout you can just beat, and you need the Fire Rod for the woods. Yeah. We literally just start going through the dungeons and beating the game now. I'm gonna go over here and check this, just because it's a really convenient and good cave, and I may check some more later, to try and get silver arrows, because while I have been watching random people who can beat Ganon without silver arrows, I'm not sure I want to try that. And there's a decent chance that just along the way, I may come across them. Same with Gold Sword and Red Mail. But yeah, so I think I'm going to take a moment here. So I've got the 2 crystals from the Light World. There's 2 pendant dungeons in here. Basically the required items, you need the hookshot to beat Swamp Palace along with the mirror. We don't have the mirror, but we don't need to beat Swamp Palace. There's a couple dungeons that require the bow. You need to be able to get to the Tower of Hera, but as long as you have a fire source, you can get everything. To beat Desert Palace, you need the glove and a fire source. We don't need 2. Oh, and the Book of Medora. We literally have everything we need to beat the game right now, I'm pretty sure. So this was a good seed. Yeah. I'm actually going to go ahead and call this one for now. That went way better than I expected, and actually it's a good way to explain a lot of the stuff that happened in that first one, just because went well, because this one went really, really well. I'll still do a second video. I'm not probably gonna... I may not... I'll still go through and beat the game, but which may take 1 or 2 more videos, but... and I'll go through and show some of the cool overworld locations, for those who aren't super familiar with where it all is, and talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, we're actually after... So, runs like this are how you beat it in an hour and a half, 2 hours. If you're actually better than I am, that would have been completely reasonable to do in like half an hour, 40 minutes. And then from here you just beat those 5 dungeons that have crystals, rush up to Ganon's tower, rush over to the pyramid. So, hopefully you enjoyed that. Give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I will hopefully be doing some more, finishing my original Zelda randomizer and doing some other videos here shortly, when I have brain power and time. So, hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.